Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a necklace using a lot of the pieces from our Sparkling Snowfall companion bundle. In fact, I think everything is from it other than the things I brought in from my stash. We're going to use this pretty little pendant as our focal with this on top of it, like so. Anyway, let's turn down and we will get started. All of our beads, well, I hope it's all of our beads. We may need some more, and if we do, we can get them. But here's this pendant. Isn't this pretty? I got this from Thunderhorse Descendant. I don't think she has any more, unfortunately. And then this particular piece that we're going to hook it onto and then hook onto our bail with is a 4 terminated one. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do 2 jump rings down to 1 jump ring to hold this. And I'm probably going to take this jump ring out because it is a round one and I prefer oval. And then we will jump ring up to this guy. But we're going to put these aside for right now. That will be one of the last things we do. So they'll go up here out of our way. And then we're going to get all these beautiful beads out. Oh, here's our lobster claw. That is our ender, as well as our jump rings. Some of these jump rings are for our necklace piece here. And some are for our lobster claw. Oh, I knew there was some more. So there we go. Now what we're going to do here is I've got some dark blue lapis softlex medium. There's not a lot left on this roll, but I think it'll be enough. So I'm just going to, I pulled out quite a bit here, probably about a foot, and I'm going to put the bead stopper on that side. And then I'm going to start with my beading. And what we're going to do is, I've got these little ones here. We're going to put 5 of those on here. And I'm putting 5 on because we're then going to put 3 small spacers. We'll go on both sides, but right now we only are doing the one side. We're going to put 3 small spacers. And then our bail. Now our bail is big enough hole that it's going to rock and roll around those beads quite a bit. But the next bead up is one of these agates, which it won't go beyond that. So that's going to be in the center there, and our pendant will drop down from here. So now after this one, we're going to have a crystal spacer and then a drusy. Another crystal spacer, our agate, three little spacers. Now these spacers are all from my stash, so two white, one small spacer, and then 2 large. There's the other large. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add chips. And we're going to put about 1.5 inches of chips, and then we'll start with this pattern again. So we're just going to go up the line, just grab chips and go and see as we go. And after we get quite a few on, then we'll measure. But we do want 1.5 inches of chips. And these chips are mainly flat, And there's a few with the hole offside. In fact, I'm going to put this one aside. I don't want to use that one since the hole is so close to the edge. Most of these holes are pretty much in the center, so they aren't trouble that way. After we get quite a few on here, we'll get the tape measure out and measure to see what we're at. So we're almost to the place where we want to measure our little pile of chips here. And I've got this lovely new steel ruler. It's got centimeters on this side. I haven't looked at it too much, so let's see if it's inches on the other side. I'm fairly positive it is. Yes. So let's see how much we've got here. We're almost there. It looks like maybe 1 or 2 more chips and we'll have it. Maybe just 1 if I use this big one. Yeah, that's great. So now that we've got that on, I'm pretty sure that's 1.5. Yeah, we still could use 1 more. So let's get 1 more on there. Then we're going to go and we're going to reverse this pattern and go this direction. So we want 2 big ones and a small one. Then the 2 little whites. Three small. The agate, crystal spacer, drusy, crystal spacer, agate. Then 3 smalls. Two whites. Then the small, 2 big, and then we'll go back to our 1.5 inch of chip. These sort of separated here a little bit. These are really big chips, and I think they're really sort of special. I'm not much of a chip person, but these big chips are so fun. Okay, we still have about 1/4 of an inch to go. And I may need to go get some more chips. It looks like it's not quite enough. It's almost too much, but that's perfect right there. So now we go to our 2 large and 1 small, the 2 white, three small, agate, crystal spacer, drusy, crystal spacer, agate. Oh, baby, there's the hole. And now we're at the 3 small. Two white, and then 3 small, and then I'm going to put on 1 agate here, and then we'll go back to the 3 small and 2 white. Now I'm going to need to get some more line out because we're getting really low here. But we're just about done with this one side anyway. So we'll go back to the 3 small, and the 2 white, and now I'm just going to put on 1 small. Now I am going to double crimp this, so I might just do it in between these whites if we decide that that works better for us. So I'm going to crimp this side off. Well, if I can get my crimp to come, bead stopper to come off. So we're going to stop there. We're going to measure to see how long this is getting. And we're at, this is the middle right here, remember? So we're at 11 inches right there. So it's going to be at least 22. And then with our findings and stuff, that would make it be at least 23. So we may decide just to put another white one and things on here. But let's get our line out. And we'll want this. We're just going to take all of it because there's not that much left and it wouldn't be that much more, just maybe an inch or 2. So we'll just take the whole line and we should have enough. So now what we want to do is we're going to turn this and go from our 3 small here. So we'll put on the 3 small. And this is a little sticky on this end because that's where it was taped onto the spool. Then we're just going to go up the line. There's sticky right there too. See if we can get rid of that some. Right here. See how this is going to float around on this bit, and then we're going to put the agate on down there. Now before we crimp this, we've got to make sure that these will go through the crimps twice, the wire, so, or the bead I should say. Oh, looks like I have a gold one here. I don't want a gold one, so I will have to switch that out. But first what I want to test is to see if, yeah, no problem. So it will go through fine with the to double crimp it by going through that one. Don't know. Oh, part of these are golden, part of silver. It looks like this is the stuff from our Art Deco set because they had 10 of each color. So now we'll see how long this necklace is going to be. It's right there. She's at 22 inches exactly. We'll add a little bit when we add the this on. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to take our beading wire and we're going to feed it backwards through our crimp tube and our bead, and then if it'll go through these as well, that'd be great. First we're just going to move this up to where we want it about, and that looks good. So we'll get our crimping pliers out and we will put our crimp in the middle of that and then squish, turn, squish. We're going to turn and squish it like that until it forms this little ball and it doesn't squish anymore. So then we'll move this up, bring our second crimp up here, put it in the middle, crimp, okay. Now we'll move what will go on to here on, and then we'll cut the excess wire off. Doesn't look like it wants to go into this little white bead, and that's fine. So we will cut the wire off right here where it comes out of our little pieces here, our spacers. So then we're going to roll this down to the other side. just like so. Make sure she's pretty well down to the other side with no problem. Let it. And now we're going to feed this side back through. Now this time we do have to make sure that wherever it comes out, it's going to come out there with no problem, because, well, that's where we're going to trim it at, and it has to come down all the way. So we'll pull her down. Okay, now when we do this, we want to push that down as much as we can, and we're going to get this bottom crimp first, because once it's done, the upper one can move, but once this one's in place, it cannot move. So we're going to get it first. And then we'll move these down and crimp this top one. Okay, now we're going to trim off this extra line here. And then we have to put our lobster claw on this side, and I got this one a little smaller than that one. I try to make them be about the same, but this time I got one off a little bit. But we will put the big jump ring on one side and the smaller jump ring with the lobster on the other side. Okay, now we have this portion done, and yes, I checked the lobster to make sure it worked fine prior to hooking it up, and now we can see how long it is with our lobster in place. So now we are at about 11.5, so it's going to be about 23. That's cool. It's a good length. So now the next trick is putting the pendant together. And I say trick because it will be sort of a trick. I'm going to take this original jump ring off. And we're going to put one of the larger oval jump rings here. Now what we're going to do is see, it's got 4 spots here. Hey, I was going to jump ring this. In fact, I had started doing that, and I realized I was going to need more jump rings than I wanted. So instead, I have decided to put this on some 20 gauge wire and make a loop on either side. So what we're going to do is actually I'm going to take this and I'm going to bend it, and then we have to bend it again for the other side. Come on, you hold right here and bend up. Oh, okay. So now that we've got the beginning bends in place, I'm gonna make sure that the bends are, now we got to make sure that I've got them in the right place, because they do have to go through those two spots right here. Bring them all the way down here. Then we're going to pull them together like you would if you were working on a briolet. Bring the two pieces together like so. Up as close as you want them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one that's a little bit shorter, and I'm going to bend it straight this direction, and the one that's longer, I'm going to bend it up like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold those two where they come together. So I'm going to get my little black pliers out because we're at a tight spot here. And we're going to take and we're going to wrap this bottom one once or twice. Now in this spot, if you wanted to add a bead or something, you could do that. Because of course the next thing we're going to do is to make a loop. You know, I was going to put a jump ring on here, but since I'm going to have a loop anyway, maybe I should just put it, hardwire this on. I think that might be what I do. Let's do that. Let's take this jump ring out. Then we're going to want this to come this direction. So we'll bend her over. Now, because this is slightly bigger, I'm going to go to the second one as opposed to the first one to go through our pendant. Then we'll bring her around, bring her, and we've got to leave a pretty good sized gap because we've got to go on our pendant here. So now we'll go over this. Now remember, it doesn't matter on this which way you go, is front or back, because they're the same. They're double-sided. So now we bring our wires together. Come on, you. Bring your wires. You want to go down just a hair's breadth there. Bring our wires together. Now we'll take this one and bring it around. Now, like I say, if you had wanted to put a bead in the middle, this is the place to have done it. Now I'm going to clip my extra wire off and tuck this in, and then we'll straighten anything that needs straightened. Now it does need straightened a little bit. See how this one's this is going a little bit to that side. And there is our pendant on on our piece here. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to hook it on to our bail. Now, because I've also got a jump ring up here, we're going to take this jump ring off because I think we are going to hardwire it on. And if we decide we don't want to hardwire it on, we will use a smaller jump ring. So we do exactly the same thing as we did with this side. And we're going to get that bend down into our pendant here. I think I just wiggled it a little bit. There we go. So now what we need to do is what we did before on the other one, and that is just make a bend and then go over and make a second bend, making sure it's yeah, that's about where it should be at. So now we'll just see if that's pretty good by feeding it up through our lines right here. Oops, come on, got you up too far. There we go. Pull them up. Now I can tell that I didn't quite get the bend in the right place because it's not pulling as easily as I thought it should. Oh, it's not too bad. So now again, we're going to push these two wires together like so. Now we're going to take one of these and go straight up with it. The other one we're going to go down. So like this. So now we're going to hold these two where they come together. And we're going to wrap this bottom one 2 or 3 times. Then we'll cut it in the back here and tuck it pretty close. Now we'll take our top one. We want it to go on our bell, which is facing this direction. So we want to go forward with our bend. Then this time we can use the smaller because we're not going to go through a pendant, just a bail. Up and over and around. Give her a little gap. Oop, scratched my nail. But that's all right. Hopefully that's enough. Now, because it doesn't have a front and back now, this piece right here is what makes it be front or back. We can feed this on however we want. Now, if it had a front or back, you'd want to make sure you fed it in backwards. So there we go. It's on now. And now we just have to grab hold of the wires where they come together. So, and we're going to want to wrap that top wire until it comes and meets this bottom one. Okay, then we want to trim it off. and tuck it in. Now I know I made this wire crooked, so we're going to have to straighten it up. So we will want to, I'm going to get my flat nose out to straighten it. This needs to turn a hair's breadth this direction. See if I got it straight now. Looks pretty straight. So there we go. Our pendant is now in place. Like I say, if you wanted to make this a little shorter, just wrap just a couple of times. Or if you wanted, you could add a bead into the middle to add a little more decoration to it. But there is our necklace all finished. I'll need to put away all these jump rings here that I decided not to use. But there it is. So there we go. There's our pendant all finished. Like I say, you could add some beads in here to make it have a little bit more something and not have such a long chain of wire here. There's our necklace itself. If you wished, you could add an extender chain to make this be longer. If you do that, make sure that your lobster claw will fit with whatever chain you use. I have some chain that will not work with this lobster claw. Because my lobster claw I use a 15, so it's bigger. But there is our really, really pretty pendant using our bargain bead box companion bundle to Sparkling Snowfall. And then of course I got the pendant from Thunderhorse Descendant. Well, this piece. This one is, well, I think I got it from Michael's. But everything in here, other than the spacers and of course our lobster claw and stringing wire, and the pendant piece, is from that bundle. I think it's a gorgeous bundle. I enjoyed making this. I hope you enjoyed making it with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.